Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about my labor and delivery. So if you're interested, keep on watching. My original due date was July 20th, 2017. I had my 40-week checkup on July 21st. 40 weeks in one day. When I had my last checkup. My doctor had scheduled my induction the week before, so I was going to be induced on July 27th if I hadn't gone in labor by the 20th, which I didn't. So I went to my doctor's appointment. She did the usual, check my stomach, see if I was measuring correctly. She checked to see if I was dilated. I was still only 2.5 inches dilated from the week before. I had told her that I lost my mucus plug, and for those that don't know what a mucus plug is, it's basically what it sounds like. You basically lose that before your water breaks. So me being a first-time mom, I called the 24-hour advice nurse to let her know what was going on and what should I do, because I didn't know whether or not I was supposed to go to the hospital or if, just to see what happens. And she told me to see what happens. And I explained all this to my doctor, and I told her that I was leaking a little bit, so she checked my amniotic fluid. While she was checking that, they hooked me up to a machine where they were listening to his heartbeat, to see how many beats it was per minute, I'm guessing that is. They explained it to me, but it was so long ago, I'm not exactly sure what they were doing. I just know it was his heartbeat. He was asleep, so they had to give me some sugary stuff to wake him up. So while I was hooked up to the monitor, my doctor came in and she told me that my amniotic fluid was really low. So she said, I need you to go to the hospital right after your doctor's appointment. Let me tell you guys how scared I was. I was terrified. Oh my gosh, I was so terrified. I called my mom. She didn't answer. So I'm blowing up her phone, and I'm like, Mom, I have to go to the hospital right after this doctor's appointment. I'm done. We have to go to the hospital. So my mom comes from work. We go to the hospital. I swear that felt like the longest ride of my life. And it was only 20 minutes away from my doctor's office. So once we got there, my mom dropped me off, and then she went to go find a parking spot. I went up there and I told them, and they're like, oh yeah, we've been expecting you. Just have a seat. We're going to get your nurse out here for you, and we're going to go from there. So my nurse finally comes out, gets me, and then we go to a room. Oh my gosh. Everything's set up, ready to go. She's like, okay, so I need you to pee in this cup, and I need you to change into this hospital gown and then get in the bed. I did that while she was setting up my IV and my Pitocin, because I had to get induced because my water didn't break naturally like I was saying. This lady, this nurse, first of all, I'm terrified of needles, and for those who have never had an IV needle, Lord, it is huge. It's I feel like it's that big. I didn't look at it because I knew if I looked at it I was gonna pass out, but she could not for the life of me get it. She could not. She's like, oh, I got it, and then your vein would move. What you mean? I'm gonna need you to get this together, lady. This hurts. So she had to call another nurse to come in, and she did it on the first try. It didn't really hurt. It hurt, but it didn't really hurt as much as when the other lady was doing it, because she was moving it around and all that, and I was just like, look, lady, we about to fight, because it's about to be some problems. So once that finally happened, I had tested group B strep positive, so I had to get antibiotics for that as well. So once I was hooked up, she hooked up the baby monitor thing that does the heart rate, and also it does the contractions. My son was on the move. He was not trying to sit still to nothing. He was ready. He was over it. He was done. My doctor's appointment was 10 o'clock in the morning. So he was like, look, I don't want to be bothered. I'm sleeping. Why are you bothering me, lady? So he was done. He was moving all over the place. She had to keep coming back in and moving it, and then she couldn't find him for a while because he kept moving. My son would not stay still for nothing. Like, she's like, I just came back in here and he's on the move again. Like, my son was like, nope, no lady, I'm not cooperating. You just gonna be mad. So once they finally got his heart rate, after he like finally stopped moving, I guess he fell asleep. And then she was hearing, and I forgot the word, but basically he was like, his heart rate was skipping a beat every time. Like, it'd be like boom, nothing, boom, nothing, boom, nothing, boom. So she was like, okay, let me call the doctor. So the doctor's like, okay, we're just gonna keep listening out for that and see what happens. And so, like I was saying, my son kept moving, so it was even hard to even try to get his heart rate. So she thought maybe it was the Pitocin. So she stopped the Pitocin, and his heart rate went back to normal. So she's like, okay, let me start the Pitocin again. So she starts the Pitocin again. It goes right back to that. Obviously, it's the Pitocin that's making my son's heart rate drop. So they're like, okay, we're going to hook you up to this thing that we have to put like inside of you on the baby's head. So I was like, I'm sorry, what? You're doing what? And I guess my son was like not having it, because I had the longest contraction of my life. I was contracting, they said, the whole time. But that was the only time that I felt a contraction, was when they were trying to put it on my head. My mom was like, Carissa, breathe, breathe. And I'm like, Mom, I can't breathe. Like, this crap hurts. Like, I felt like somebody was trying to, like, well, I mean, like it was. Like, somebody was trying to come out of my vagina, which is basically what that is, labor. Oh my gosh, I was in the worst pain with that contraction. So I didn't realize what time it was, because before I knew it, it was dark outside. So my doctors had changed, because my doctor, like my OBGYN, wasn't the one who delivered me. And the doctor that I had when I came in, her shift was over, so I had a different doctor. So she decided that with the fact that my son's heart rate kept dropping, that my best bet was to have an emergency C-section. I was terrified. Like, I was crying. I was so scared, because this is my first child. And, you know, you don't want to lose your child, regardless if it's your first or if it's your second, third, fourth, etc. So the anesthesiologist came in. He was explaining to me what was going to happen once we got into the room. They wheeled me in there. They told me, if you've never had a baby, I don't want to scare you, but that needle too is the longest, and it goes in your spine. And I'm sure people know, or you've been told, that it happens when you're having a contraction. And like I was saying, I didn't feel any of my contractions except that one contraction when they were trying to put that thing on his head to get his heart rate or whatever they were saying. So I got my stuff. What is it called? I forgot what it's, oh, my epidural. That don't numbs you. Like, I couldn't feel nothing. Like, nothing. They say from the waist down. I just feel like I didn't feel anything from like my neck down. They had me lay down. They basically announced who was in the room, what they were going to be doing. And then after that, they put the sheet up. But they didn't put that sheet up well, because I saw them cut me. I'm surprised I didn't pass out, because the sight of blood, oh my gosh, makes me want to throw up. They're like, okay, he's going to be here before you know it. He's going to be here before you know it. And I'm just like terrified. I'm just like, I just want to hear my baby cry. Because after hearing that his heart rate kept dropping, I just wanted to hear my baby cry. Like, that was the only thing I was worried about, was hearing my baby cry. And so at 11:46 p.m., my son Malachi Elijah was born. He weighed 6 pounds, 15 ounces, and he was 19 inches long. And when he cried, I cried. That was the happiest moment of my life. I cannot, like, words can't describe how happy I was, or I am happy as I don't know what right now as well, because I love my son to death. Like, I don't know what my life would be like without him. And I'm grateful for him every single day. Every day I get to wake up next to him is amazing. I'm trying not to cry, but just thinking about it makes me want to get all sobby and just start crying. But that was basically my labor and delivery story. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below.